Hey y'all, welcome back to Movement Link. So one of the most important things for running successful classes is planning and prepping for them. So I'm going to go over my strategies, how I coach my coaches to prep for classes, and just my little checklist that I go through to really make sure that over the course of the class, I'm getting everything in and using every minute of the class wisely. In my opinion, starting on time and finishing on time is what clients deserve, and it's up to us to plan and prep that out. I've interviewed a lot of coaches over the years, and most of them are really proud of how good they are at winging it. So here's the deal. We want to plan everything out, and when curveballs get thrown at us, which happens a lot, we want to have the ability to wing it, but we don't want to just come in and wing it. You can tell almost immediately when a coach is winging it. If it's one of our coaches at the gym, it happens early on when they start coaching with us before we've taught them this process. But also as I drop into gyms in different cities, it is immediately clear if they're winging it or not. And just the level that class is going to be on is completely different. When we wing it, it turns more into, let's just kind of herd cattle around, warm people up, tell them what the workout is, let's go. And when we plan classes, we really have the ability to push people's mobility, to push their skill, their technique forward, and do it in a way that really progresses people and challenges them to get better on a daily basis. We're not just throwing spaghetti at the wall. I plan my classes down to the minute. That way if I get off a little bit, it's easy to get back on. So let's just kind of talk through an example in what I might do in a class. And I'll throw a few examples up here. So we'll just start with a classic Fran. If you're into CrossFit, most people know this workout, just 21-15-9 thrusters, pull-ups. So the first thing that I like to do, I like to build everything backwards. Notice how in this sample class, there's only one workout, okay? We're not gonna do a strength and something or this and something. We're just gonna have one workout. So that's gonna give me, the coach, a lot of freedom to be able to decide what to do. If there was another piece, like working up to heavy front squats, people like to pair that stuff with Fran, some Olympic weightlifting, or maybe some accessory work, then it really condenses us down, which is fine if that's how the gym is programming, but it takes that freedom away from the coach. So I'll run through kind of an example if we've got Fran and, let's say, front squats, and then we're going to take the front squats away and we'll look at what a class might look like if I had the freedom to only do Fran that day. Okay, so let's go ahead and add in front squats here. This would be a tough combo, so clearly if we're going to go heavy, let's say we're going to do 5 sets of 5. If we're going to go heavy here, that's clearly going to impact our Fran score, but maybe the goal of the day is not to PR Fran. Maybe the goal of the day is to use Fran as accessory work for strength exercises, which is completely legitimate. But we got to know that if we're doing anything up here, it is probably going to have a negative effect on our total Fran depending on what we're doing. Okay, so here's how I like to play it out. Regardless if I have two pieces or not, I like to build everything backwards. I start by figuring out how long this piece is going to take. I chose a workout that I know really well because I know that we should be pushing best in the gym. We're going to get this done around like 2 minutes 15 to 3 minutes, somewhere in that range, ridiculously fast. Really good scores are like 3 to 5 minutes. And then I like to give people up to that 10-minute time cap. When we do testing workouts, I'm okay with people overreaching a little bit. And if they did get time capped, cool. Next time you come, let's use that same weight. Let's try and get under that cap. So what I know is that I like to put a 10-minute cap on Fran. I know the stimulus is supposed to be a faster workout, but again, on these testing workouts, it's okay to overreach. That way you can retest without constantly having to change the weights around. If I didn't know this time cap, I would just look at it and be like, okay, figure out how long each exercise takes. A thruster is a 3-second exercise. Figure out how many times people are going to break this up. Figure out how many times people are going to break this up. A pull-up is a 1-second exercise. And then I like to add 10 seconds for any breaking up or any transitions. So I like to figure out what the fastest time is going to be. And then I kind of add a little bit of time to come up with my time cap. That way the fastest people in the gym aren't waiting around for 20 minutes after a workout's over. Anyway, Fran, we got a 10-minute cap. So I use this I use this numbering system here just to help my class timing. I'll talk a little bit more about it. So first thing is, especially in a class where it's not an AMRAP, so everyone's not finishing at the exact same time, I want the last people to finish with at least 8 minutes left in the class. So what I write, we run hour classes, so I'll write 52 here. That just means that this needs to end 52 minutes into class. Actually, let's move this down here. 52. So this is going to be where the cool down is. Okay, so 52 minutes into class, I want to be cooling down. We've got a 10-minute time cap, back that off 10 minutes. So that means right here, 42 minutes into class is when I need to be starting, hitting go on this clock. For the most part, I like to have like an 8-minute transition from whatever I'm doing up in the first section into explaining what the workout is, letting people get set up, letting them ask questions, letting them do their workout prep, and all of this stuff. Usually 8 minutes works well. For these benchmarks where people get pretty excited about them, I like to give a little bit more time. So how I write this, I'm going to give these people 10 minutes today. So how I'm going to write this is just like this. This means I'm going to start setting up and explaining this piece, and this is what time the piece needs to start. Just to show you what I would do, let's say I was coaching the 5:30 p.m. class, I might come down here and actually write 6:02-6:12. So that'd be 32 minutes into the 5:30 class, and this would be 42 minutes in the 5:30 class. That way, as I'm coaching, I can quickly just glance up at the board as I'm explaining things, quickly glance at the clock, and I can tell, am I behind? Do I need to speed it up? Do I have plenty of time? Can I slow it down? I like to always know how much time I've got in class. That way I'm never gonna run late into somebody's day. Okay, so now I know, so now what we really know is that we've got 32 minutes to warm up and do everything before we're gonna start here. Let's say 5x5 front squats. Let's say we're gonna set a clock up for 5 3-minute rounds. And these are all just little notes I'd write on the whiteboard or in my notes to keep near me as I'm coaching. So 5 3-minute rounds, this is gonna be 15 minutes. We can back that up off of 32 here. And that means I'm gonna have to start the front squat at 17. So 17 minutes into class, I'm gonna set a clock for 5 3-minute rounds. And then that is gonna have me ending 32 minutes into class, which then I can easily transition over here. So how long do I need to warm up for front squats? I figure out 5x5. What's the goal? 5x5, that's a lot of volume. So are we gonna start somewhere and build up? Are we just gonna really hammer people and go somewhere like 75 or 80% of a max? If so, we're gonna need a little more warm-up time if we're doing 5 sets at that range. Or are we gonna kind of build up and we're looking for 3 heavy sets? You kind of have to determine that. But what I like to do on stuff like this is give people kind of a warm-up rep scheme. Maybe give them 7 minutes. So that'd be 10 minutes into class. I'd set a clock, 7 minutes counting down. You've got 7 minutes to warm up, get set, get your racks ready, warming up to that very first set that's gonna happen at 17 minutes in the class. So now I see I only have 10 minutes to get people in, generally warm them up, and then more specifically warm them up before I let them kind of go out on their own to get set up for the front squat. So this is not very much time. So this is why it's really, really hard, and this is a really short workout. So imagine if we chose a workout down here that was 12 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. All of that cuts in to this warm-up time, and it's really hard to get people warmed up the right way. But also, as I start talking about the other things I like to layer in to my class plan, you'll see how it's really, really hard to get anything done that really pushes people forward. So a piece that I like to do, I call it teach and practice. And instead, we've all been in regular CrossFit classes where the coach treats it like it's a beginner CrossFit class. And as an advanced athlete, I know the last thing that I want to do is stand there and listen to the coach talk through every single bit of the front squat or the snatch or the thruster or the pull-up. I like them to demo it, but what I like my coaches to do is I like us to pick one theme, one thing that maybe we can talk about, practice in the warm-up, it relates to this, it relates to this, and it's something that can teach beginners something, give them something to work on, but it's also something where the advanced people can check in on it as they're practicing to improve the advanced people's techniques alongside. That way nobody in the class is bored, everybody in the class is getting pushed forward. A good teach and practice, we can go a lot of things. We can go core bracing. So something we could look into maybe are, hey, at the top of your squats, are we reaching the top with your butt cheek squeezed? So this would be a good one because, okay, now we've got thrusters. Same thing, are we coming to the top with your butt cheeks squeezed through the press? Pull-ups. Are we squeezing our butt cheeks in that arch position as we're doing our kipping pull-ups? So you can see that I'm trying to find a teach and practice thing that's going to span all of these things. Another thing we could work on is just shoulder position. And a big issue in the front squat is people getting dumped out this way, just like they would internally rotate on a push-up. We want to get those shoulders back. Remember, everything is a squat, push-up, jump. So that front rack position looks just like a push-up, bending that arm, and then that's the position we're going to create. We're going to use that same position here for the thruster. Same position overhead and thruster, and then the pull-up is going to be in the exact same position. So another thing we could choose would be shoulder positions. So we'll just choose one. We'll go with butt. So I just write myself a little bit of a note that says butt. Then what I'm going to do is I've got my general warm-up here. Then I have my specific warm-up. With front squats, thrusters, pull-ups, what I'm going to be doing in my specific warm-up is probably a barbell warm-up where I talk through positions. Maybe we'll start with some stiff-legged deadlifts. We'll do some cleans. We'll do front squats. We'll press. We'll do push presses. Maybe we'll stop and do some dynamic stretching in between, then pick the barbell back up. So in the specific warm-up, what I'm going to then do is choose positions maybe to pause at to teach my thing of the day, my theme of the day. And it would be, okay, we're front squatting. We're looking at, are those butt cheeks squeezed at the top? As a coach, I'm going to be fixing people as we go. Then when we get to the front squat section, I'm going to talk through 5x5, what weights to use, how to warm up for it, all these things. And then right before we hit go, right before the first set, I immediately remind everybody of this butt position. Then we get into here, we go over thrusters, we go over pull-ups. I remind people how this is related to these two things, and I give them their warm-up prep, and I'm trying to get them to focus. Then it goes 3, 2, right before I say 3, 2, 1, go, I remind them again of that butt position. So now we've spent all day. So imagine if we're layering in this teach and practice element every single day in class, and people are getting a lot of practice with these little nitpicky things that really take people to the next level. It is incredibly, incredibly powerful. But without taking the time, if I just come in and see, oh, we got Fran, we got front squats. Okay, I'm going to warm them up for front squats. Here we go. And I just miss this whole element. It's really holding people back in a way that's profound. Okay, so that also, depending on how long this workout is, it cuts into this amount of time. I don't want to spend 10 minutes explaining this. I want to spend 30 seconds to 2 minutes explaining it, but I might want to spend some more time practicing it. Maybe we're doing hip bridges. There's a lot of things we can do, but I need time for a specific warm-up to tie this stuff in. And if I don't have that time because the programming has just crammed everything into the hour, then it's really going to be at a detriment to the progression of clients and their technique. Okay, so that's a teach and practice. A lot of things can go there. One is to span the whole thing. So let's say, so now cool downs, I like to choose mobility exercises that either help people recover from the day before or prep them for the next day. And with 8 minutes, that's plenty of time to kind of bring everybody back together, maybe do a little bit of yoga stretching, finish it with some mobility exercises. So that's kind of how I plan. Then when I think I'm finished, I have a little acronym that I use. I'm just going to write it in the middle. Usually I'd write it down below. Called CNews. This is just a real quick check that I do just to double check all my planning to make sure that I've thought of everything. What this stands for is clock, newbies, equipment, weather, shoes. Let's go through it. Clock, how am I using the clock? So real quick, I'll look up and it's like, okay, I've got 10 minutes to warm up. I'm just going to do that. Then I've got 7 minutes. So I'm going to set a clock counting down to 7 minutes. That way everybody in the gym knows, oh, how much time do we have before we start? It says 3 minutes left. I've got 3 minutes. So I'm going to count a clock counting down there. Okay, I already figured out 5 3-minute rounds. I'm going to set a clock for that. Then we're here. I'm going to immediately set a clock counting down to 42. So this is where, as a coach, I can make up or add time, because if I run a little late here, maybe instead of that 10 minutes, maybe they're going to get 8 minutes here. But anyway, I count a clock counting down to that 42 minutes into class. Then in the workout, I'm going to have a clock counting up to 10 minutes. Cool down, I'm gonna do whatever I need there. So I've thought about, how am I gonna use the clock in the class? Newbies, if someone brand new, zero experience comes in, what am I gonna do with them? Front squats, they're gonna be okay here. I'm gonna have to teach them the front squat. Maybe we switch it to back squats. Obviously, I'm gonna have to make sure that they can air squat, and then they start with the barbell, so they're not gonna be focused on weight. They're going to be focused more on doing the squats and getting good reps in, but front squats is going to be fine. Thrusters, pull-ups, same thing. I think they're going to be fine here. I'm going to have to scale this workout and give scaling options for the whole class. So thrusters, we're going to scale it with weight. Pull-ups, we're going to scale it with jumping pull-ups, banded pull-ups, ring rows, those types of things. So those are going to be fine with the newbies. The other thing I like to look at here is what percentage of a max would this be? So this would be about 35% of a max. And that helps me when I'm scaling for people. That helps me figure out when someone's asking what weight they should do, these things, it helps me filter it through my head to give them weight recommendations. Also, a lot of people know a thruster max or a push press max. And when you tell them 35%, it actually gives them something that they can work to, at least ballpark it. So I find this info helps a lot too. Okay, so that's newbies. Equipment. Do we need to share equipment? Are we using rowers and we only have a certain number of rowers? What do we need to do? Are there only a certain number of pull-up spots? Are there only a certain number of racks? Think through these things and think about, oh, if the answer is no, what is your strategy? And maybe you have to wave people in. Maybe you put a few people, 2 or 3 people sharing a barbell and a rack on this section. So these are things you're going to have to think about, but the last thing you want to have happen is the class starts, all of a sudden you've got more people, and then get caught deer in the headlights and you come up with a bad solution like, oh, rowing, but now you're doing assault bike or running. It's like, that's a completely different workout than rowing. So you need to come up with a clever strategy to get every single person on the rower and doing it in a way where they don't feel like they're missing out on anything. That's the key. Weather. Mainly, if you're planning on doing anything outside, if you're running, you want to have a substitute if it's lightning or anything like that. And you just want to think through those things. You don't want to get caught. It's got 800-meter runs, and now you're trying to come up with, oh, what do we do? Is rowing a good idea? Is the bike a good idea? Are burpees and jump roping? Do we have box step-ups, box jumps? There's a lot of options you can do. And depending on what the other pieces of the workout is, there's going to be better or worse options. So you don't want to just generically say, oh, instead of running, we're rowing. Because what if we're doing a workout that has a lot of pulling already, cleans, pull-ups, stuff like that? Rowing's a pretty bad thing to sub out for running. Those would be very different workouts. Okay, then we have shoes. So once everything is done, what I like to do is now put myself in the shoes of someone taking this class. And do I feel like I would be bored? Do I have enough time? Yada, yada, yada. So 10 minutes to do a general warm-up, focusing on the butt. I like that. I'm gonna have 7 minutes to set up. Okay, that's gonna be a little crunch, but 7 minutes is enough. I'll be able to get to that first working weight after the warm-up in 7 minutes. 5 3-minute rounds, that's fair. I hate when coaches go 5 by 5 and it's super heavy and you've got 2-minute rounds. Pretty crazy, ridiculous stuff. So hey, make sure there's enough time and it makes sense there. Okay, we get down here. Now I've got 10 minutes to transition from that last set to getting ready for Fran. That works. That's really good. So the only thing I just remembered here, and this is why I like to go through it, is I didn't come up with the kind of prep. So I would come back and what I would do is here at the 10-minute mark, I'd talk about Fran, I would talk about the time cap, I'd talk about everything, but then I'd give them, I call them 3 by 3 preps. Then I would give people a prescription. And I'd say, let's go, once you're set, let's do a few reps. So once you think you're ready, do 3 rounds. Do the first round just slow, and then do the next 2 rounds like it's a workout. 3 thrusters, 3 pull-ups. So now for the 10 minutes, they know what they're gonna do. Is they're gonna get set, they're gonna ask questions, they're gonna figure out where their pull-ups are, they're gonna do all this stuff. Once they think they're set, we're gonna do like a miniature workout, 3 rounds, 3 reps. We're gonna practice transitions, what that weight feels like. I'll be able to see them moving with WOD weight at WOD pace so we can have those conversations. And then I'll tell everybody, hey, with 2 or 3 minutes left, we'll talk strategies here. And so then I can kind of get people to stop what they're doing, rest, start preparing mentally. I'll talk through the strategies, and then right before we go, right back to the teach and practice, and so on. So that's kind of how I do it. It's start backwards and figure out my timing to see how much time I have in between things or before things. Then I come up with a teach and practice, which is a theme that's going to go across the whole thing. From there, once I'm happy with all of my timing, if I'm coaching multiple classes, I would write the actual times down just to make it so much easier to keep myself on point. I make sure I've got my cool down planned out. Then once I think I'm finished, I go back through and I do my checklist, and I make sure that I've thought of every little thing, and then I'm ready to go. Almost always, first class, I make some adjustments. Next class runs much, much, much smoother. Okay, so real fast to finish this off here, let's go ahead and take away this middle section here, okay? So now the workout is just Fran, 21-15-9, thrusters and pull-ups. I still have the same timing. I know I need to start Fran 32 minutes into class. An option we could have is move this workout up and then do some playing around afterwards, but what we know is people are destroyed by Fran, and trying to get people to do anything afterwards is pretty tough. So what I would prefer to do is get people doing something up in this area that's going to prepare them for Fran. So maybe we take away this teach and practice, and maybe we're trying to figure out what are some drills, what's some skill work, what are some things that we can do. So something that could work is we could just say, let's do something like 5 4-minute rounds, and let's work up to 2 heavy thrusters. And then let's use the rest of the time for kipping practice. Not only would this warm us up for everything here, it's amazing how people think that this is going to tire them out. We're not going 2 rep max, but if you go heavier than what you're going to do in the workout, when you come back down to that workout weight, as long as we didn't do like a huge amount of volume or anything crazy up here, it's incredible how powerful you feel. You can be really warmed up. So my goal here is for all of this stuff to make this better, not to negatively affect any of these things. So now we've got a 20-minute thing, and so now we're kind of back down to the same things, and we can go, but we have almost the same options here, and we can really have time to practice these things for these specific things. So just because the workout is only this, that doesn't mean, hey, get everyone warmed up, talk about it, go, now you're done 30 minutes early, let people go home early. Use the whole time. Maybe we add in, maybe we take some of this away, maybe we add in some ankle and hip distractions to make the positions of their front squat a little bit better, to make those thrusters better. There's so many different things. Maybe we just do some one-legged balancing, some Y balance stuff. Maybe we do some bottom-up kettlebell presses. There are so many cool options, but your goal should be improve technique, come up with that theme, and then I would still run back through and do all of the timing stuff. So the key here is when you get good at planning everything out, it becomes way, way faster. It starts off taking a really long time, but then you get way better at it. But the other thing is when you end up having to go in wing it mode, maybe you weren't going to coach, a coach is sick, you got to fly to the gym, jump in. Just because you know you get so good at thinking of this stuff, you have such a leg up and you can run a really good class. But the other thing that happens is inevitably something might go wrong. Someone might throw you off in some way. You get really good at just getting yourself back on track. So time it out. Do better than just herding cattle. Teach them something. Don't bore anyone, but give everybody something that they can work on. Make sure that we're really pushing mobility and recovery in the cool downs, and start on time, finish on time. I know that was a lot. Hope this helps. Talk to y'all soon.